Hey everyone, if you're gearing up for the NSCA CPT exam, then you are in exactly the right place. Today, we're going to tackle one of the toughest and honestly one of the most important sections, training special populations. We're going way beyond the standard healthy adult to really understand the clients who will put your skills to the test.
So let's just jump right in. The NSCA exam isn't just about memorizing muscles and bones. The real test, the thing that separates a good trainer from a truly great one, is adaptability. It's all about how you take that knowledge from the textbook and apply it to a real person with all their unique needs and circumstances.
So here's our roadmap for today. We'll kick things off by talking about your professional role. Then we'll dive deep into the key populations you have to know for the exam. We're talking different life stages, clients with heart conditions or injuries, and those with neurological conditions. Then we'll wrap it all up with the absolute must-know essentials for exam day.
Okay, first things first, we need to reframe how we see our job. When you're working with special populations, you're not just a trainer anymore. You become a crucial part of a bigger healthcare team. Being able to talk to doctors and physical therapists isn't just a nice skill to have, it's a fundamental part of the job.
All right, let's get into our first major group, clients across the lifespan. Now, it's so important to get this. Children, older adults, and pregnant clients are not just smaller or bigger versions of the average person at the gym. Their bodies work differently, and your training has to reflect that.
This is so cool when you think about it. On one hand, you've got kids, whose strength gains are mostly neurologic. It's like their brain just gets way more efficient at telling the muscles they already have what to do. Then you flip the coin and look at older adults. They might be dealing with a lower VO2 max and muscle loss, we call that sarcopenia, but get this, they see the biggest benefits from aerobic training of any age group out there. That's a huge takeaway.
Let's just bust a huge myth right now that you might see on the exam. Lifting weights will not stunt a kid's growth. The science is totally clear. When you have a properly designed program, kids can see these incredible strength gains, like 30 to 40%. The recipe for success is simple. You need supervision, you need smart progression, and you got to keep it fun.
Now, when it comes to pregnant clients, the benefits of moderate exercise are just massive. We're talking about better fitness during the pregnancy and a faster, smoother recovery after. It's a seriously powerful tool for both their physical and mental health during this huge time in their life.
Okay, stop and pay attention here. This is huge for the exam. Knowing when to train a pregnant client is important, but knowing when you absolutely should not train them is just as critical. An absolute contraindication means exercise is off limits unless the doctor says otherwise. These are total, non-negotiable red flags.
And here are the emergency stop signs you need to look for during a session. If your pregnant client tells you about any of these things, the workout stops right then. No, let's just finish the set. Your one and only job is to refer them to their doctor. You need to burn this list into your brain.
All right, let's move on. Now we're focusing on clients with heart and lung conditions. And for every single client in this category, the process starts in the exact same place, physician clearance. We absolutely have to get a doctor's approval and their guidance on intensity before we even think about designing a workout. This table right here, this is pure exam gold. You got to know these numbers inside and out. But the biggest takeaway is right there at the bottom. If your client's blood pressure is in stage 1 or stage 2, you do not start training. You wait for medical clearance. Full stop.
Okay, here's another key term you must know, the Valsalva maneuver. You know when someone holds their breath during a really heavy lift? That's it. For a client with high blood pressure, this is super dangerous. It can make their blood pressure spike like crazy. Your job is to coach them to breathe, consistently, through every single rep.
All right, let's talk about injuries. And let me be crystal clear about this, because this is where your scope of practice is so important. You are not a physical therapist. You don't diagnose things, and you don't prescribe rehab. Your job is to understand the healing process so you can work within the limits set by a medical professional.
Understanding this timeline is everything. Think of it like this. First is the inflammation phase, where the body's in full-on protection mode. Then comes the repair phase. It's like a little construction crew laying down new but fragile tissue. Finally, you have the long remodeling phase, where that new tissue gets stronger and better organized. Your program has to match whatever phase the client is in.
Okay, this slide is a classic exam scenario designed to test if you're paying attention. For a disc injury, you avoid spinal flexion. think crunches. But for something like spondylolisthesis, you avoid spinal extension, think bending backward. See that? The exercise that helps one condition could actually harm the other. You have to know the difference.
Let's take a super common one. A client who's had ACL surgery. Closed chain exercises, like squats or leg presses, are your green light. Why? Because they make the muscles on both sides of the knee fire together, which creates stability. On the other hand, open chain exercises, like a leg extension machine, can put a bad kind of stress on that healing ligament. That's a big red light.
Okay, let's shift gears and talk about clients with neurological conditions. Now, exercise can be a total game changer for these clients, but it requires a much higher level of awareness. We have to follow very specific safety rules that go way beyond just picking the right exercises. It's all about creating a safe environment first. So when you're training a client with a spinal cord injury, you have to think about way more than just muscles. We have to manage things like their body temperature, because they can overheat easily. We have to think about blood pooling in their legs. And we have to be really smart about overuse injuries, especially in their shoulders and wrists, from using their wheelchair all day.
With clients who have MS, it really comes down to two big things: managing heat and managing fatigue. The training environment has to be cool, period. And you never, ever push them to the point of exhaustion. Here's a great little rule of thumb. If your client's fatigue lasts for more than 2 days after your workout, you went too hard. You need to back it off.
We've covered a ton of specific conditions. So now, let's zoom all the way out and cover the fundamental rules that apply to every single special population client. Think of these as the unbreakable laws of being a safe and effective CPT.
So let's make this perfectly clear. If your client has any pre-existing condition or medical concern whatsoever, your only first step, is to get written medical clearance from their doctor. This is your #1 rule. It protects your client and it protects you.
I love this quote because it just says it all. Your job is to be a great observer. You're the eyes and ears. You watch for the signs, pain, swelling, things that just don't look right. But it is not your job to diagnose or decide what they can and can't do. That's for the medical professionals. Your job is to execute their plan safely.
Look, at the end of the day, passing this exam is about more than just getting a certificate. It's about earning the trust to guide people on their health journey, often when they're at their most vulnerable. So as you study, keep this one question in your mind. How are you going to use this knowledge to not just build a better workout, but to safely and profoundly change lives?